What if I told you that everything in your life could change in just 3 days? That's not an exaggeration. It's the power of one simple change. How you speak to yourself shapes everything you believe about who you are and what you're capable of. For years, you've heard the voice inside your head telling you what you can't do, what you're not good at, or how you're destined to fail. But what if for the next 3 days, you tried something different? What if you spoke to yourself with kindness, with belief, and with the same encouragement you would give to a friend? This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about shifting your inner narrative, empowering yourself in ways you never thought possible. Watch this video till the end, subscribe, and like for more life-changing insights. You've been living with that voice in your head, haven't you? The one that constantly whispers, "You're not enough, this isn't going to work, or you'll never make it." It's familiar. It's almost like a constant companion, isn't it? You've gotten used to hearing it, so much so that it's now a part of you. But what if I told you that the words you've been listening to, the words you've been feeding yourself every single day, are shaping the reality you live in? For a long time, you felt like you're stuck, like something is holding you back, but you're not sure what it is. You're working hard, you're doing all the right things, but there's a weight on you, isn't there? The weight of your own words. The words that say, "I can't" or "I'm not good enough." You've let them define you. You've let them become truths. But those words, those thoughts, are not the truth of who you are. When you say, "I can't," you lock yourself into a prison of your own making. It's not the world that limits you. It's the belief that you're limited by what you tell yourself. You see, your words carry power, more power than you may ever realize. They shape your beliefs, your actions, and ultimately your reality. Every time you tell yourself, "I can't," you plant a seed of doubt, a seed that grows deeper into your mind, building walls where there should be opportunities. But what if you flip the script? What if you started speaking to yourself as if you already had what you desire, as if you were already the person you are striving to become? What if your words became the foundation for a future you never thought possible? This isn't some magical, wishful thinking. It's about consciously choosing the language you use with yourself. It's about understanding that the words you speak are not just words, they are the building blocks of your identity. When you start to say, "I am capable, I am worthy, I am enough," you're planting new seeds, seeds that will grow into the belief that you can achieve anything because you believe you can. Now, I know that this might sound difficult, especially when you've been hearing the opposite for so long. It's going to feel strange at first, like you're faking it, like you're lying to yourself, but that's not what you're doing. You're learning how to rewrite the script you've been handed. You're learning to speak truth to yourself in a way that aligns with your potential, not with your fears. The truth is, you've been living in the shadow of your self-doubt for far too long, and you've allowed that doubt to influence your decisions, your actions, and your life. But you can change that. You can change your reality simply by changing the way you speak to yourself. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. Small shifts, repeated daily, will begin to add up. It starts with catching yourself when you say something negative about yourself. It starts with interrupting that automatic response of, "I'm not good enough," and replacing it with, "I am learning, I am growing, I am becoming who I am meant to be." And as you do this, as you change the language you use, something powerful happens. Your perception of yourself begins to shift. You start to see yourself not as someone stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, but as someone capable of growth, change, and success. You begin to act from that place of belief. You take risks you never would have taken before. You step into opportunities that once seemed too big. You begin to move differently, speak differently, and ultimately live differently. This is not a one-time thing. This is a shift in the way you live your life. It's about waking up every day and speaking words that build you up, words that remind you of your strength, your potential, and your worth. When you speak those words, you start to see a future that was once blurry come into focus. You have the power to change your reality, starting with the words you use. Right now, today, this moment, you can start speaking life into yourself. And when you do, you realize just how much control you've always had. You don't even notice it anymore, do you? The constant stream of thoughts, the little judgments, the criticisms that never seem to stop. It's almost like a background noise that's become a part of you. You've learned to live with it. But that doesn't mean it's healthy. That doesn't mean it's helping you. It's just there, and it's louder than you realize. You wake up, already hearing it. The quiet whisper that says, "You're not good enough." You look in the mirror, and it's there again. Why do you even bother? You'll never get it right. This isn't just random thinking. This is a pattern, a constant, nagging presence that lives in the back of your mind, affecting everything you do. It steals your confidence. It clouds your decisions. And over time, it erodes your sense of self. For most of your life, you've been listening to that voice, not questioning it, not challenging it. You've just accepted it as though it's the truth. It tells you that you're too weak, too slow, too broken, too much of this, too little of that. And you've learned to believe it because that's what you've heard over and over again. You've heard it so often, you think it's just who you are. But that's not the truth. The truth is that the story you're hearing in your head isn't you. It's the narrative you've learned to accept. And just because you've been hearing it for years doesn't make it any more real. It's just a story. And right now you're stuck in a loop of self-doubt, a loop of not feeling enough. But what if I told you that you don't have to live like this anymore? What if you could break that cycle? The first step is recognizing it. You have to hear that inner dialogue. You have to be aware of the way you speak to yourself. The subtle messages you've been carrying for so long. Those little insults, the silent criticisms. You need to listen to the way you view your mistakes, your weaknesses, your failures. How many times have you called yourself stupid or lazy or unworthy? How many times have you dismissed your own potential without even trying? That's not a truth. That's a story. And it's time to rewrite it. It won't be easy. You've been conditioned to hear that voice, and it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. But recognizing it is the first and most important step. Once you hear it, once you acknowledge that it's there, you can begin to change it. The next step is challenging it. Every time that voice says, "You'll never succeed," ask yourself, why not? Every time it says, "You're not good enough," counter it with, "What if I am?" It's not about shutting that voice down or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about showing up to the fight and not letting it win. And when you start challenging those thoughts, something incredible happens. You begin to feel a shift. The self-judgment that's been running in the background starts to quiet down. It's not as loud, not as demanding. Slowly, you begin to replace it with something more compassionate, something more empowering. You start to speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend who's struggling, with patience, with kindness, with understanding. You start to treat yourself with the care you've always shown to others. This isn't about pretending to be perfect. It's about recognizing that you are enough as you are. You don't have to be flawless. You don't have to have everything figured out. But you do need to treat yourself with respect. You need to be kind to yourself. You need to give yourself the space to grow without judgment, without the constant pressure that you're not enough, because you are. Right now, in this moment, the more you practice this, the more your inner dialogue will change. It won't happen overnight, but every time you challenge the negative thought, every time you replace it with something kind, you take back control. You stop letting that voice define you. You stop letting it control your worth. You start to build a new narrative, a narrative where you are strong, you are capable, you are enough. And one day you'll wake up and you won't even recognize that voice anymore. You won't recognize the negative story that used to run in your head, because it will have been replaced by a story of empowerment, a story of self-compassion, a story of growth. And when that day comes, you'll realize that the person you've been waiting for, the person who can change your life, is the same person you've always been. You speaking to yourself with kindness, with strength, and with belief. That's how you break free. And when you do, you'll understand that the most powerful change doesn't come from the outside. It comes from the way you talk to yourself. You've been walking around with these walls inside your head, haven't you? The ones built from years of doubts, fears, and that never-ending inner criticism. You've heard those voices, the ones telling you that you're not good enough, that you can't do it, that the dreams you have are just too big for someone like you. You've gotten used to them, haven't you? But here's the thing. Those voices, those thoughts, they're not the truth. They're not who you are. You don't have to keep listening to them. You've been programmed by them, shaped by them, but they do not define you. The real question is, what if you could change the script? What if you could rewrite the story that's been playing on repeat in your mind? The one that keeps you small, keeps you afraid, keeps you stuck. What if you could rewire your thoughts, your beliefs, your entire perspective to match the person you really are underneath all the noise? It starts with a simple tool, something so powerful yet often underestimated: affirmations. Now, I know you might be skeptical. You've heard of them, maybe even tried them. You've stood in front of a mirror repeating empty phrases like, "I am strong," or "I am worthy." But it felt hollow, didn't it? It felt fake because it wasn't coming from a place of belief. You were telling yourself what you thought you should hear, not what you truly felt. But here's the breakthrough. Affirmations aren't about pretending. They're not about saying something that isn't true. They are about shifting your mind, starting with the words you speak. Words are powerful. They shape everything. And when you speak words of truth, even if you don't believe them at first, something shifts inside of you. You are literally reprogramming your mind. You see, the mind is like a garden. If you keep planting seeds of doubt, of fear, of "I can't," those are the thoughts that will grow. But when you plant seeds of belief, of "I am enough," or "I am capable," those thoughts begin to take root. Slowly but surely, they start to grow and they begin to change the way you see yourself. And when you change the way you see yourself, you change the way you live. It's not just about repeating words. It's about feeling them, believing them. That's the trick. Affirmations are not some magical incantation to make all your problems disappear. They are the tools you need to break down those walls of doubt and replace them with confidence. The walls of fear can crumble brick by brick as you begin to speak new truths. It's in those moments of quiet when you look at yourself and say, I am worthy of success, or I am more than enough, that the real shift begins. It's not instantaneous, but with every repetition, you begin to see the world differently. You start to see yourself differently. Now, I won't lie to you. There will be days when it feels like nothing is happening, when you feel like you're speaking to an empty room and those affirmations don't seem to make a dent. But the truth is, change is happening inside of you. Every word you speak, every belief you challenge is creating a new reality. Your subconscious mind is listening. It's taking notes. It's internalizing the messages you send it. It's about consistency. It's about showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Even when that inner voice tells you that it's useless. You keep speaking your affirmations. You keep telling yourself, I am deserving, I am capable, I am more than enough, until one day you believe it. And when you believe it, that's when everything starts to change. Because belief is the foundation of action. And when you believe you are capable, you will take actions that reflect that belief. You will start stepping into opportunities you once would have shied away from. You will take risks because you understand your own worth. The truth is, you are not what those negative voices say you are. You are not your past mistakes. You are not your fears. You are so much more than that. But until you start speaking that truth to yourself, until you start feeding your mind with the words that align with your potential, you'll continue to live in the shadow of your doubts. Affirmations are your key to unlocking the life you deserve. They are the tool that can break the chains of self-doubt and help you step into your power. And when you start believing those words, truly believing them, you'll realize that the only thing that ever stood in your way was the story you told yourself. The moment you rewrite that story, your world begins to change. So today, look at yourself in the mirror. Say the words that feel uncomfortable at first. Say them with power. I am worthy. I am strong. I am capable of more than I ever imagined. Let those words sink in and let them begin to reshape your world. You have everything inside you to make it happen. It all starts with changing the script. You've been stuck, haven't you? Stuck in a battle within yourself. You faced challenges that felt impossible to overcome. And each time you tried, something inside of you whispered, you're not good enough. You can't do this. You'll never make it. That voice, that constant self-doubt, it's been your companion, your shadow, your enemy. It's the thing that keeps you from moving forward, the thing that stops you from stepping into the life you know you're capable of. It's hard, isn't it, to push past that voice, to ignore the constant nagging that tells you you're not enough, that you don't have what it takes. You've tried to fight it before. You've tried to push through, to use willpower to keep going, but somehow that doubt always creeps back in, doesn't it? It paralyzes you, fills you with fear, and leaves you questioning your every decision. But what if I told you that the key to overcoming that doubt isn't fighting it with more force? What if the way out isn't through sheer willpower, but through simply believing in your worth right now as you are? What if you stopped trying to prove to yourself that you're capable and instead allowed yourself to believe, I am enough, I am worthy of success, I can do this? You've been waiting for the perfect moment, haven't you? for the right circumstances, for everything to line up perfectly so you can take that step forward without fear. But the truth is that perfect moment will never come. There will always be something standing in the way. The only thing holding you back is you, your own self-doubt, your own belief that you're not enough. Here's the thing. You've been taught to measure your worth by external standards. You've been taught that success comes through effort, through struggle, through proving your value. But what if I told you that your worth isn't something that needs to be earned? What if you could just know that you are capable regardless of the circumstances around you? This shift doesn't happen overnight. It starts with a simple yet powerful decision. A decision to believe in yourself even when that self-doubt is screaming in your ear. It starts with the willingness to trust that you are capable, not because you've proved it to anyone, but because you are worthy simply by being who you are. When you begin to speak to yourself with that kind of belief, something incredible starts to happen. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop hesitating because you think you're not ready. You start acting not from a place of fear, but from a place of confidence. You realize that you don't need to be perfect to move forward. You just need to believe in yourself, to trust that you are enough, flaws, doubts, and all. And as you start to believe, your actions start to change. You stop holding back. You stop second-guessing yourself. You take risks because you know that no matter what happens, you're capable of handling it. You know that you can rise to the occasion even when things feel uncertain, because belief in yourself isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting that you have the strength to figure it out. That's when the real magic happens. When you start acting from a place of self-belief, you begin to see doors open, opportunities appear, and your life shifts in ways you never imagined. Not because the world suddenly became easier, but because you became stronger. You became someone who refuses to let self-doubt dictate their life. You became someone who knows their worth, regardless of external validation. Now, I'm not saying the doubts will vanish overnight, but each time you replace the voice of doubt with the voice of belief, you take back your power. Each time you choose to believe in yourself, even when it's hard, you get closer to the person you were always meant to be. This is the transformation. It's not about becoming perfect or having everything figured out. It's about accepting that you are enough right now. You have everything you need within you to succeed. All you have to do is stop doubting yourself and start believing. When you do, you'll realize that the only thing that ever stood in your way was the belief that you weren't enough. So today, right now, choose to believe. Choose to tell yourself that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are enough, and watch as your life shifts from that place of self-belief. Because when you believe in yourself, everything changes. That voice inside your head, you know the one. It's not a gentle whisper. It's loud. It's demanding. It's the one that tells you you're not good enough, that you're too slow, that you'll never make it. It follows you around, taunting you, tearing you down, convincing you that every mistake you make is proof that you'll never succeed. And no matter how hard you try to drown it out, it always finds its way back, doesn't it? This voice is your inner critic, and it's powerful, but it's not the truth. For so long you've listened to it. You've let it shape your decisions, your actions, and your beliefs. You've internalized its harsh judgments, thinking they were a reflection of your reality. It tells you you're not enough. You can't do it. You will never be good enough. It's like a constant soundtrack in the background of your life. And over time, it's become so ingrained that you've stopped questioning it. You've let it dictate your work. But here's the truth. That voice is lying to you. It's not speaking from a place of truth. It's speaking from fear. And the moment you realize that, you can start to take back control. You are not your inner critic. It's not you. It's a collection of negative beliefs and old wounds that have accumulated over the years. It's the voice of insecurity, of past failures, of fears that have never been dealt with. It's the voice of someone who's been hurt, rejected, or dismissed, but it's not the truth of who you are. So what do you do about it? How do you silence that voice when it's so loud and so persistent? The first step is awareness. You have to recognize it for what it is. Pay attention to how it sounds. Is it telling you that you're too much or that you're too little? Is it criticizing your every move, focusing on every flaw, every mistake? Is it constantly comparing you to others, telling you that you don't measure up? This is the voice that's been holding you back, the voice that's been keeping you small. Once you can identify it, you can begin to challenge it. Every time it says you're not good enough, ask yourself, is that true? Every time it tells you you'll never make it, ask yourself, why not? Don't just accept these messages as gospel. You have the power to question them. You have the power to rewrite them, because the truth is, you are more than enough. You have everything you need to succeed, and you don't need to listen to a voice that tells you otherwise. But challenging the inner critic isn't enough. You have to replace it. You have to counter those negative, destructive thoughts with something more compassionate, something more empowering. Every time that voice tells you that you can't do it, you need to tell yourself, I am capable, I am worthy, I can handle this. You need to speak to yourself with kindness, with love, and with the belief that you are deserving of success and happiness. This is where the shift happens. The more you replace self-criticism with self-compassion, the more your mind starts to believe it. You'll begin to notice a change in how you view yourself. Instead of seeing your mistakes as failures, you'll see them as opportunities to grow. Instead of hearing the voice of doubt, you'll start hearing the voice of confidence, of strength, of resilience. And as you begin to do this, you'll feel your power returning. That inner critic no longer has control. It may still try to show up from time to time, but you'll recognize it for what it is, a voice of fear, not truth. And you'll be able to dismiss it because you know that you are stronger, wiser, and more capable than that voice will ever give you credit for. The journey isn't easy. The voice of your inner critic has been with you for a long time, and it's not going to disappear overnight. But every time you challenge it, every time you replace it with self-belief, you take back your power. You begin to see yourself for who you truly are. Not someone defined by their mistakes, but someone defined by their resilience, their growth, their ability to rise above. You have the power to turn that inner critic into a catalyst for growth. You don't need to silence it forever. You just need to stop letting it control you. You can choose a new narrative, a narrative where you are enough, where you are worthy, where you can achieve everything you set your mind to. And when you choose to believe that, everything in your life will start to change. So when that voice starts up again, listen to it, but don't let it control you. Challenge it, replace it, and keep moving forward, because the only voice that truly matters is the one that believes in you, and you can start listening to that voice today. There's a voice in your head right now, isn't there? It's the one that's quick to point out every mistake you've ever made. every flaw you carry, every moment you've fallen short. You know this voice well. It's louder than the world around you, and sometimes it feels like it's the only voice that truly speaks the truth. But that voice, that harsh, critical voice, isn't your truth. It's a story you've been telling yourself for far too long. You'd never speak to anyone else the way you speak to yourself, would you? If your best friend came to you, broken and vulnerable, sharing their deepest struggles, would you call them weak? Would you tell them they're worthless, that they'll never succeed, that they should just give up? Of course not. You'd offer comfort. You'd listen with empathy. You'd remind them of their strengths, of their potential, of the love and care they deserve. But when it comes to you, somehow that kindness disappears. When it's your turn to be vulnerable, that same voice that once encouraged you to support others now tears you apart. You tell yourself that you're not enough, that you'll never be good enough, that you're failing, all because of one bad day, one setback, one mistake. You beat yourself up in a way that you would never do to anyone else. Why? Why do you treat yourself like this? Why is your inner dialogue filled with negativity when it should be filled with the same compassion you show to others? What if I told you that the way you speak to yourself matters more than you realize? What if the words you use to describe yourself, the way you talk to yourself in moments of failure or uncertainty, could change everything? What if instead of being your harshest critic, you became your biggest supporter? Imagine, just for a moment, treating yourself with the same kindness, love, and encouragement that you would give to a close friend. What if, when you make a mistake, you spoke to yourself the way you would speak to someone you deeply care about? What if, instead of self-criticism, you practiced self-compassion? That's what you deserve. You deserve to speak to yourself with the same gentleness you offer to others. You deserve to remind yourself that it's okay to fail, to stumble, to not have all the answers. That's part of being human. But just because you're not perfect doesn't mean you're any less worthy of love and encouragement. Every time you speak to yourself with kindness, you change the narrative. Every time you choose compassion over criticism, you create a new path forward. This shift doesn't mean you ignore your mistakes or pretend everything's okay when it's not. It means you stop letting those mistakes define you. You stop letting them control your emotions and your sense of self-worth. Instead, you start seeing them as stepping stones. You learn from them, grow from them, and move forward with a sense of self-compassion. Think about the conversations you have with yourself. When you fail, when things don't go as planned, how do you respond? Do you berate yourself? Do you tell yourself that you're worthless? Or do you offer yourself a moment of grace, acknowledging that you're human, that you're doing your best, and that you'll get up and try again? Shifting your self-talk from judgment to compassion isn't a one-time thing. It's a practice. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of your own love and support just as much as anyone else is. It's about breaking the cycle of self-criticism and replacing it with a belief that you are enough just as you are. It's not always easy. Your mind has been conditioned to focus on flaws, on mistakes, on shortcomings. But you can unlearn that. You can retrain yourself to look at your challenges with kindness and understanding. The next time you slip up or fall short, take a deep breath and remind yourself, it's okay, I'm doing my best. I will get better. This does not define me. When you speak to yourself with love, with kindness, with compassion, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel more confident. You'll start showing up for yourself in ways you never thought possible. You'll begin to believe in your own strength, in your own resilience, in your own worth. And when you do, the way you see the world will change too. Because here's the truth. You are deserving of the same love and support you give to others. You are worthy of encouragement, of compassion, of grace, not just from the people around you, but from yourself. It's time to stop being your own worst enemy. It's time to be the friend you've always needed. You have everything you need to rise, to grow, to succeed. But first, you have to start treating yourself with the same care, the same kindness, and the same love you show to those you cherish. The moment you do that, everything begins to change. Imagine waking up tomorrow, and for the first time in a long time, you make a conscious decision to speak to yourself with kindness. No self-criticism, no doubts, just pure, honest belief in your worth. What would that feel like? For 3 straight days, you don't allow the voice in your head to tear you down. You don't let the fear or the doubts creep in. You choose to be kind to yourself. Every single time you feel the urge to criticize, you stop, you pause, and you replace that criticism with encouragement. It's simple, but it's powerful. And it's time to take that first step. You've spent so much of your life beating yourself up, haven't you? Every time you fall short, every time you make a mistake, it's like you're not just failing, you're confirming all the things you've believed about yourself, that you're not good enough, that you can't do it, that you'll never be who you want to be. That voice, that negative inner dialogue has been your constant companion, telling you that you're too much, or too little, or not enough at all. But what if I told you that voice doesn't have to control you anymore? The 3-day challenge is simple. For the next 3 days, consciously choose to speak to yourself as if you were your best friend. No more self-judgment. No more holding yourself to impossible standards. Just kindness, just compassion, just belief. This isn't about perfection. It's not about pretending everything is perfect when it's not. It's about offering yourself the same grace you would offer someone you deeply care about. It's about building a habit of self-love that lasts beyond these 3 days. It's going to be uncomfortable at first. The old patterns will fight back. That voice in your head will remind you of every mistake you've ever made, every flaw you've ever had. It will try to convince you that this new way of speaking to yourself is silly, that you don't deserve it. But that's the moment you need to fight for. That's when you need to remind yourself that you do deserve this kindness, that you've been living with the weight of self-criticism for far too long, and now is the time to let go. Start small. Every time you look in the mirror, instead of focusing on what you don't like, find something you can appreciate. Every time you make a mistake, instead of thinking, "I'm so stupid," say to yourself, "I'm learning, I'm doing my best, I can do better next time." Start speaking to yourself as if you already believe in your worth. Because the truth is, you do have worth. You are capable, you are worthy of success, of happiness, of all the good things that life has to offer. And here's the thing, it won't just change the way you speak to yourself. It will change the way you see yourself. As you spend 3 days practicing kindness, you'll start to notice something shift inside of you. The doubts won't have the same power. The fear won't feel as overwhelming. You'll feel stronger, more confident, more at peace. Because when you speak to yourself with compassion, you unlock your true potential. You stop holding yourself back with negative beliefs and open yourself up to new possibilities. 3 days, that's all it takes to begin shifting your mindset, to start creating new habits, new ways of thinking. And when those 3 days are over, You won't just go back to the old way of thinking. You won't let that critical voice control you anymore. Because now you know that you're capable of being kind to yourself. Now you know that you deserve to be your own biggest supporter, not your harshest critic. This challenge isn't about changing everything at once. It's about building a new relationship with yourself, one based on kindness, belief, and encouragement. So take a deep breath, look at yourself in the mirror, and commit to these next 3 days. And when you reach the end of that third day, you'll realize that you've already begun to change. You'll see that the person you were waiting for all along, the one who can lift you up, who can believe in you, who can encourage you, is the person looking back at you in the mirror. 3 days. It's time to start speaking to yourself like you've always deserved to be spoken to. And when you do, everything will begin to change. You've tried, you've worked hard to change your mindset, to be kinder to yourself, to silence that inner critic. You've had those moments when everything clicked, when you felt the shift, when you believed for a second that things could be different. But then the noise crept back in, the doubts returned, the harsh judgments, the self-criticism, and it felt like all your effort was undone in an instant. Change is hard, you know that. It's not something that just happens overnight, no matter how much you want it to. The problem is we often expect instant results, thinking that a few positive moments or good days will somehow reset everything. But true transformation, the kind that sticks, is built on one simple principle: consistency. It's not enough to have one breakthrough or one great day of self-talk. To change the way you speak to yourself, to create a lasting shift in your mindset, you have to make it a part of your daily life. It has to become who you are, not just something you try on for a few days. The truth is, consistency is the real work. It's the silent, everyday effort that nobody notices, but that makes all the difference. It's the decision you make when you wake up and decide, today I will speak to myself with love. Today I will remind myself that I am worthy. I will stop believing the lies of the past. And when you fail, because you will, you don't quit. You pick yourself up and you do it again tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. This isn't about grand gestures or dramatic changes. It's about the small moments, the quiet choices, the daily commitments to speak to yourself with kindness. It's about recognizing when that voice of doubt begins to creep in, and instead of letting it dominate your thoughts, you consciously choose to replace it with something empowering. It's about becoming aware of those negative beliefs, acknowledging them, and then gently but firmly choosing to believe something better. Creating lasting change through consistency means that you're no longer waiting for perfection. You're no longer telling yourself that you can't start until everything is just right. You realize that you will never be perfect, and that's okay. The goal isn't to be flawless, but to commit to growth, to self-compassion, and to progress, no matter how slow it might seem. Every time you choose kindness over criticism, every time you show up for yourself, you're building the person you're meant to be. It's going to take time, and there will be days when it feels impossible. The old patterns will fight to come back. The negative thoughts will try to drag you down. But here's where the magic happens. You don't need to be perfect to create change. What you need is the courage to keep going, to stay consistent, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because every time you do the work, every time you choose to speak to yourself with love instead of judgment, you are rewiring your brain. You are laying the foundation for a new way of being. And when you keep doing this, even when it's hard, even when you're frustrated, you begin to change the way you see yourself. Consistency doesn't mean you won't fall. It doesn't mean that you won't have days where you feel defeated or discouraged, but it does mean that when you fall, you get back up. When you stumble, you keep moving forward. It's about creating a rhythm in your life, a new routine where self-love and compassion are just as ingrained as the negative thoughts once were. The breakthrough isn't in a single moment of change. It's in the gradual transformation that happens when you keep showing up for yourself, day after day. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that the person you've become is no longer the person who doubted themselves at every turn. You'll realize that you've built a new foundation, one that's strong enough to handle whatever life throws your way. So, today, commit to consistency. Speak to yourself with kindness every day, not because it's easy, but because you're building something far more powerful, a new way of living. Every small act of self-compassion, every word of encouragement you give yourself adds up, and eventually it will all come together. That's when you'll see the real change, the change that lasts. It's not a quick fix, it's a transformation that will stand the test of time, and it starts now with you choosing to be consistent in how you speak to yourself.